So I'm going to talk a little bit about the kind of emotional side of brand loyalty, because I think it's in a really sort of fragile state at the moment as brands and consumers really try to restore order, but actually the pre-pandemic rules aren't really applying now. And I think there are a few reasons for that. Firstly, consumers have had to welcome in new brands into their home. This has been fueled by everything from stockpiling habits to shortages of essential items in our supermarkets and the adoption of new at-home behaviours. So cooking, gardening and cleaning have forced consumers to try new brands. And I think whilst consumers would have had very functional relationships with the brands that they may have purchased previously, household names, the established legacy brands, they may have now formed more emotional relationships with new brands that they perceive have saved them during the lockdown. And I think that's really interesting when you look at the sort of functional versus emotional reliance on brands and what that will have in terms of lasting impact on repurchase of these brands. So I think that's a really interesting one, and it's very much driven by emotion. But during this pandemic, I think, as I said earlier, everyone's really sort of life reaffirming and reappraising everything, at home and in their relationships. So it's one to definitely watch. And the stat there, I saw 61% of Gen Z respondents reported that they had been encouraged to purchase products online that they had never ever considered before. And that was in categories as diverse as pet food right through to shoes. So I think it's not restricted to even domestic or cooking or kitchen items. It's as far-flung as that. And so whilst you might not need to work as hard to, serve those re-engage with consumers, you may well come back to your brand so long as you haven't changed too much. The open-minded explorers, and everybody else are going to be disrupting those traditional brands. And so how do you rebuild those emotions, those brand loyalty levers during this time? And there are three quick things I want to just cover here. One is think about how you retool your business. Consumers will remember the brands that were there for their employees, the frontline workers, and the consumers during this time. So flex your business proposition in the short term to serve the greater good of the public and the community in an authentic way. Secondly, think about delayed gratification schemes. How can you make sure that your consumers are there with you every step of the way throughout this pandemic, but also that they're there waiting for you when we re-emerge? Think about voucher schemes. Think about future stays if you're in hospitality, meal vouchers. How can you continue that brand loyalty throughout this lockdown period? Give them a reason to stick with you. And finally, consider ways that your business, your brand, your industry can rise up and serve as a public utility. I think a lot of technology companies have done incredibly successfully. You've seen, firms like Facebook really using some of their algorithms and data analysis tools to help, in the UK, the NHS analyse 111, emergency data and to feed supplies to where they need it in hospitals. So really think about, how you can play all there, not just as a brand providing products, but to really prop up what is a very, highly strong and stretched public service system. So they're just sort of three things I think that brands should be thinking about from a loyalty standpoint.
We have created custom services to help companies and brands forecast the relevant role they will play with post-pandemic stakeholders. Used separately or as an integrated process, our services provide you with a reopening strategy, a custom brand positioning analysis, and a facilitated virtual workshop with our most senior discipline leaders to help you solve your most critical business and communication objectives.